It's official. Jesse Williams is a candidate for North Charleston City Council's District 6 seat. He tells me why he's running for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores.
Jesse Williams, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
I appreciate it, Quintin. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure, and I've seen your other interviews.
Yes, sir.
It was really good.
Thank you so much. Obviously, you are running for North Charleston City Council against Dorothy Williams. And in the disclaimer, we've asked Dorothy Williams to come on Quintin's Close-Ups, but I haven't heard from her as of yet. I know earlier this week you filed your paperwork to run for North Charleston City Council. Tell me, where are you emotionally?
Ooh, man, I'm happy. I'm so glad that the poster career did the printouts, and I was the only one on District 6 to get to file on that on the ballot right now. So that means that eventually, I believe in about a week or so, that's the amount of time that everybody else will have to sign on. So working hard, but I'm happy. I always try to be content.
You talk about right now. What is the state of District 6 right now?
District 6. Well, one thing about it is that people need a lot of food still. You still have kind of that may not be so much of a food desert per se in a lot of District 6, because there are some grocery stores, but the poverty rate and there's a lot of needs for opportunities, job opportunities. A large area is going to be impacted by the project where they want to widen 526. So there's a lot of ambiguity about that. But I hope my goal is to let people know to keep the hope alive.
You talk about hope alive. You talk about 526 and its widening. What are you letting people know now about that situation?
So 526 is a project. What I would say to people who directly lives on that near that line is don't be fearful. As somebody told me the other day, you don't be too quick to listen to what everybody's saying, but also be prepared, and let's organize. I've been able to come together with a group of people, and what we want to do is continue to organize. That way their voices will be heard. So my heart goes out to everybody who actually was quoted in that article, and I do want everybody to I hope to connect with them, because we are fighting back, and it's not hopeless.
How are you fighting back now?
So what we want to do right now, what we're working on doing, is I was on the board of LAMC,
right,
the Low Country Alliance for Model Communities,
right,
and I actually I was on that board from 2015 to 2019. So I witnessed firsthand the template on what you can do in order to deal with a mitigation process, to deal with the federal process. That is a requirement to put down mitigations to mitigate against the damages of a project. And so what I would like to see happen is that everybody can come together and give their input, and then we can come together and meet with and let the DOT and other agencies know what the community would like to see. For example, with 526 going down,
right,
there's the Russelldale Community Center,
right,
directly on the left-hand side of 526. I went out there and drove around with Omar Muhammad,
right,
to look at all those areas by 526, all the houses and apartments and buildings is going to be impacted, and the community center is right there, and the park is right there. And so just so everybody knows, they very much have to replace that park for that community, but we got to stay involved.
You talk about, obviously, input and hearing from the community. What is the community saying now about this potential 526 widening?
A lot of the residents that because I've been able to meet with some of the residents, and actually we formed a new group. We formed a group where we are trying to give the people a voice, and they're still saying they want to live there. They want to live in their houses where they were, and they don't want to move. And some of the residents that I've spoken to directly says that they've got heirs property, right, and they inherited that property, whether it was the husband or the wife, and they like where they live. Of course, there are other people who want to sell their property, But those people just maybe they have other options. But most of the people in that community by 526 will want to keep their houses.
Keep their houses. And when you talk to the people about the Rustledale Community Center, what is the future of that in their minds?
In their minds, in the community center, the people that actually know about 526, here's what happened, Quintin. When I heard about 526 and the project that was going on, somebody sent me a letter and told me about the meetings that they were going to be having, and they were going to be informing the community. And so I started going to the meetings to learn more about it as a resident and as a business owner. And I had been going for about a year. And when I learned that they were going to be widening, there was a good chance that they would widen that 526. I put together a flyer with my nonprofit organization, and we did a meeting specifically about that topic. And we started to inform the residents, and they had no idea before that anything was going to be happening to put that community in danger, that community center in danger. They had not been informed.
Who's communicating this information now?
What happened was that the DOT and different state entities rely on the local representatives, and that sitting councilwoman around that area was supposed to be informing the residents. But she had not informed the residents. When they finally did the meeting at City Hall, the residents were angry because they had not known. And then the city officials was basically saying that they wanted to buy your houses. They're like, why don't we just speed up the process and buy your houses now? And so the residents were surprised by that. And so there's absolutely no representation, unfortunately, to tell the residents what's going on. The state relies on the local representation to inform the residents and to inform the state on the needs, and which is why it's partly why I went out there and I tried to advocate for speed limit signs in Rustledale, but that's not being done from the elected official level.
If you were to put in speed bumps in the Rustledale neighborhood, how much would that cost the average taxpayer?
Well, actually, right now I was advocating for speed limit signs. Speed limit signs is simply a metal with a metal down, and it's for safety. I mean, that would go a long way just to have that. Because what happens is that the cars will drive so fast down that main strip. So I don't know how much it costs. You know, I advocated for a neighborhood sign in Dorchester, Wayland, just for the sign so that people will know what neighborhood they live in. And that cost was about, could have been more than $3,000. But you know what? That was a brick at the bottom. The brick was at the bottom. It was a potting for growing things. Me and my friend actually helped me design this sign. And they started putting that sign in all the neighborhoods. But then it had a nice little wooden carved out and nice message and everything. It was a beautiful, beautiful sign. But with speed limit signs, that's just going to be a metal and a metal pole. That's going to be way less than $3,000.
What other safety concerns do you have about the Rustledale neighborhood and the Dorchester Wayland neighborhood? So,
they are building sidewalks. They're building some sidewalks, but that is a big need because a lot of the residents in Dorchester Wayland walk or ride the bus. So when they ride the bus and they walk, there still needs to be more sidewalks on the side. And then when they try to get to work, they're trying to get up to work, and Rustledale community, they need sidewalks. When it floods, it rains hard, it floods and people are trying to walk around and try to get to the bus stop, but it's hard for them to get around. So that's quality of life issues.
What other quality of life issues are going on? Because obviously District 6 consists of the Wayland, Brentwood, Rustledale, Liberty Park, Highland Terrace, Plantation Flats, Midland Park, and Lake Palmetto.
Yes. You end up with Lake Palmetto. I'll speak to that because I was getting input from the residents around Lake Palmetto, and that's by Tanger Outlet.
Right.
And obviously there's a lot of traffic around there, but also on Arco Lane, there's a lot of traffic from trucks.
Right.
And so when the trucks are driving, and a lot of times the cement trucks, and those rocks will be flying, and the dust will be flying, and those kind of things. And so they want a big fence right there. And so I want to advocate for that for those residents. And so there's a lot of quality of life issues like that. Think about it. Particulate matter like dust comes out and rocks are flying around from companies. It's going to impact the breathing and whatnot. But then also when you're looking at quality of life issues, people are just basically scared right now. Like in Lake Palmetto, like in Dorchester, Highland Terrace, and Liberty Park, and Rustledale, right now in that area, people are just fearful because of past things that happened, where when a I-26 or 526 went in, It just split the whole neighborhood in half with no regard for the community members. So think about that. When people are wondering what's going to happen to their houses, that causes anxiety. You know, and I'm worried about that anxiety, man, that causes, man.
And what are you worried about when it comes to public transportation?
Well, with public transportation, we need, I'm continuing to get input from people. But when I went out there to talk to people about the buses and the transit, people were saying that the schedule on Sundays is not very dependable. In other words, the bus stops running at an early time, like 6 p.m. or so, and then it's like they run every hour. So that's the issue with public transit with the buses right now. They need more shelters. People out there sitting in the sun and the heat, and I believe that $12 million went towards came from the state, towards Carter shelters. And then when the BRT route, bus rapid transit route, comes through, the hope is that that's going to help the people, the community, get around and go around. But I was speaking to William Hamilton, and he was saying that a lot of people get hit crossing Rivers Avenue. So we need to be looking at things like that, because people are trying to get around, and we can't leave people behind. We can't just think about just this big transit route that goes down, but how will people get to the backbone? They call it the backbone.
Right.
How will people get to that? So I hope to continue to stand up for people, and I hope to be able to get on the city council and speak to these issues.
And a couple of other issues I'm hoping you'll speak to. Let's talk about flooding. Mm-hmm. How do you describe that in one word?
One word on flooding. Development.
Infrastructure.
Responsible.
Guns and crime.
Solutions.
Housing.
More. Need more.
Need more. Respect for the people.
Lacking.
And when you look at District 6 right now, how high is that voice?
It's very minimal right now, and I hope that changes. We've had a representative on that council seat for over 25 years, and people are just not being spoken up for. One specific issue that I've seen was with the speed limit signs. Public safety is one of the major issues, because the Department of Transportation, although a lot of those neighborhoods like Russelldale and areas like that have state streets, right, the DOT, Department of Transportation, relies on the local representatives to let them know what the needs are. And I found a little rule where they rely on the city council person to let them know what these needs are. And so that hasn't been happening. I tried to do what I could from the citizens' perspective, but the voice is lacking. I try to speak to the educational issues, and we have 8 failing schools in North Charleston, and nobody who's elected right now on the council, local areas, is speaking to that issue.
How would you work with the Charleston County School District if you were to be elected?
Being elected, being on that district, I'll continue what I've been doing, and what I want to do is communicate to the Charleston County School District what the needs are in North Charleston, and how we can push for a quality education for all children. We need to shine the light on these issues, because there are major disparities in North Charleston, and although North Charleston contributes more money to CCSD than any other city in the whole Charleston County School District, the schools are still neglected. So I'm going to push for more resources at these schools.
What resources would you push for?
Well, you think about schools like Garrett Academy of Technology,
right,
and simply we cannot neglect schools, especially schools in North Charleston. So we need more trades. We need to bring back the trade schools. Why? Because there's a humongous need for people to be hired in the trades. And when Garrett Academy of Technology had the trades there, for example, when they had electrical technology, electrical trade at Garrett,
right,
kids were getting jobs in electrical technology, being electricians. So I would advocate for these trades to be back, and not to have this whole idea of advanced studies. Not everybody's going to go to college. Not everybody wants to be a computer programmer. But people in North Charleston, yes, some people do want to go to that route. I went to college myself. But I would want to explain to people that there are people who like to do things like photography. There are people who like to do things like electrical work, and so we need to keep that. We need to have plans that's going to help the children succeed, especially the children in North Charleston. That's sad.
What is your plan for gentrification? Because a lot of people are saying that it's coming, it's already there in North Charleston. When you look at gentrification, where is your plan?
As far as gentrification is concerned, what we need to do, one thing that we need to see is to see more people educated. Gentrification is a combination of the inability for people to continue to live where they're at, combined with the inability for people to be able to afford, which is an economic issue. In other words, people don't have the jobs to be able to afford to live where they're currently at. So because of that, within my plan, we need to have more education. We need to give people more opportunities to work in the workforce, and then we need to make sure that people are educated to the extent where they can attain these jobs that are higher paid, so that we can prepare for any growth that comes. We need to have that, and then we need to have more affordable housing in North Charleston, South Carolina. And with the 526 issue coming up, that's good. Their project plans to kind of interfere with affordable housing that exists right now. For example, in Ferndale, there are about 40 trailers there, which trailers are more affordable. People live there. We need to have more affordable housing. So as that 526 develops in the project, I would want to push DOT and those departments that are building this project to also contribute towards more affordable houses in that area.
How much are you looking at as far as affordable housing in those areas?
Well, you think about it. When you look at the 526 project alone, as the article was talking about, you're looking at about 58 to 80 houses alone that's going to be in the path of 526. You have an apartment complex. You have two apartment complexes right there. One that's right by 526, and there's about 30 units there. And then you got trailers in Ferndale. There's about 40 trailers right there, about 20 or 30. That's 50 right there. So not only should people be compensated, you should also be able to have more affordable. So at least 100 directly in that area, because you look at Ferndale, it's about 300 houses. Russelldale is about another 300 houses. Highland Terrace is close to 800 or so houses. But properties that are in the path, you're looking at about 100 houses. So we need to directly make sure that there's more affordable houses as far as that's concerned. But the need is great. There's been studies done on this.
And how many jobs do you hope to bring into that neighborhood if you are elected?
When I'm elected, what I want to do is come up with solutions. I don't want to make humongous promises as far as I'm going to directly bring about jobs. But what I want to see happen is to have more trade opportunities for people to be able to have. I want to let people know what jobs are opening up. I want to speak to the companies like the Port Authority, the Boeing, for example. I would like to see a CDL program taught at the Garrett campus, so that people can learn how to drive the trucks, and then they start to get those jobs at the port. They drive the trucks, they drive the stuff to the port, from the port, and go around. That's a $60,000 jobs right there, driving a truck. So you think about how many jobs that is, So I want to help create more opportunities for people, and speak and advocate for the people, so that the job opportunities will be there. So if you look at the studies, there's like a shortage of 20,000 jobs in the Charleston County area. So
how much is the shortage in your district, District 6?
The unemployment rate in District 6 alone is over 30%. It's a high unemployment rate. It's higher than the whole area combined. So if you go around there, that's why a lot of times they turn to alternative ways of making money. So we need opportunities, and we need more jobs. The young people need to have jobs. The unemployment rate in the younger men category is even higher than 30%. The unemployment rate in North Charleston as a whole is pretty high in itself, around 30%.
Jesse Williams, thank you so much for your time, and again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much. I don't want to make any promises, but I'm gonna do what I can.
To be continued.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.